Hello, everybody. So I want to talk a little bit about this principle of family first. It's really the principle of family supremacy over the state, but I've been told that doesn't have a nice ring to it, family supremacy. But that's really exactly what it is. This principle that the family knows better for their own children than the state. The family is better apted and suited to take care of their kids, protect their kids, love their kids, and raise their kids, and have more rights to their own children than the state. This principle is neglected in a lot of family courts, and we need to address it. We need to address it strongly, because no matter how many victories we win over CPS, no matter how many times we can point out the inappropriateness of their actions, the lawlessness of their behavior, of their orders and the way that they do business, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change until we can drive this principle of family first, of family supremacy over the state's rights to our children. Families have rights to their children. We need to press that home. We need to press it to our politicians. We need to send it up. We need to send a message up to our senators and our congressmen and women, and let them know that we don't want interference in our families. We don't want government tyranny and the big hand of government overreach dipping into our families. You know, families are hard enough to manage with all of the problems in the economy and our finances, and the ins and outs of a relationship, and creating love and overcoming all kinds of pettiness to enjoy that love without having to worry about the government coming in one violent act and ripping your family apart and trafficking your children, and now you have to figure that part out. The idea of family supremacy really goes to the heart of what it is to be an American. Nothing is more important to us than our families, our freedom, and our God. And when you come and you disrupt our freedom and our family and our ability to pursue happiness, you're fundamentally destroying the promise of America. You're fundamentally destroying the promise of the Constitution. We need to get back to basics in this country and realize that the power belongs into the hands of the people, and the children belong in the hands of the family, not in the hands of the government. The government does not know better for those kids. We need to rework the entire structure of CPS. And as a people, we need to address lawlessness in our society and loopholes in the law that allow bad actors to act lawlessly. Within the family court system, CPS has a very authoritative position, and they regularly take advantage of their authoritative position to abuse and destroy American families without any due process of law or emergency, and this is wrong. We need to attach any removal of children to an actual emergency. We need to attach any removal of children to an actual cause. It can't just be, people have been talking about them and they seem, and they don't like them. They seem to be dangerous. And we've created a profile on them. This is very flimsy and doesn't hold up in court, and removing children based on hearsay allegations that are just defamation is not just opening up CPS to a lot of litigation, but that's going to cost taxpayers tons of money. I read an article the other day where LA County just dished out $4 billion with a B dollars to survivors of their child trafficking network, of their foster abuse hell system. Children that have been systematically raped and SA'd and sexually molested in the worst ways. And this is happening all over the country. It's not isolated to just LA. It's happening all over the country. And they're coming for your kids. They're coming for your children. I speak to families every day that are normal, healthy, functional families that are right now in the midst of being ripped apart or have been ripped apart. Why isn't CPS going after real cases of neglect and abuse? I mean, I'm seeing on TikTok and different medias real cases where children are dying in their own feces. In their home, they're neglected, or a woman who has pimped out her 11-month-old baby. Why aren't these people who are on stream doing drugs and all kinds of negativity being investigated? But then a functional home based on hearsay allegations that are weaponized by people who don't like you, people who have an axe to grind against you, who want to destroy your life based on nothing but lies and allegation and defamation. They go and investigate that. That is worthy of an investigation. But children that are actually in cases of neglect and abuse are skipped over regularly. And this is and that's the real tragedy, that cases of real neglect and abuse go uninvestigated, while healthy American families, healthy functional homes are ripped apart. At my organization, Alliance for Family Justice, we believe that families have more right to their children than the government does. This principle of family first, this principle of family supremacy to the state, must be upheld in law. And if we're going to see any changes being made, we need to stand together, first of all, against tyranny and government overreach, and recognize that CPS and DSS, Department of Social Services, have been imbued with far too much power altogether. And this power allows them to, on an affidavit alone of a CPS employee, rip your family apart. The level of havoc they can create in your home, doesn't matter how poor or rich you are, is truly staggering and eye-opening, mind-blowing. You don't think it can happen to you until it does. Until people who dislike you, exes with a bitter axe to grind in custody court, send their weaponized play therapists who they're paying, who are on their payroll, to CPS to open investigation against you. And on an affidavit alone, they can take your kids away, which is what happened to us. And we got our kids back at the 5-day hearing and beat them again in court. And they're relentless. Once they open an investigation, they will never admit wrongdoing. They will continue to keep coming after you with this illegal evidence that they have and these false charges and allegations, when they still neglect to investigate real cases of abuse. This is a national disgrace. This is a national disgrace that needs to be addressed, and all of Americans should stand up. All Americans who love liberty and love their family should stand up, because this is going to come to your door at some point. You, your family, your sons, your daughters are going to be affected by this level of overreach and lawlessness. We need to close the loophole in the law that allows DSS and CPS employees to take families and rip them apart based on nothing but hearsay allegations and an affidavit. There needs to be a real emergency and real cause. I hope that everybody will stand with me and stand with this fight, because we can't do it alone. We can't do it without your help and support. This corruption that is in Loudoun County CPS is throughout the country. What happened in LA with the $4 billion settlement for survivors of child trafficking is happening across the country.